Okay, Kinsey, you ready for a Patreon question?
Sure am. And Steve asks, zombies or vampires? And what's your favorite horror movie?
Dude, so the reason why I was so excited to do this video with you is because you told me that you collect VHS horror movies. Now, I was kind of curious, is that specifically just to the 80s, or what's the genre?
It's mostly just the 80s. Because,
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest, the 80s have the best horror movies.
True. I mean, I grew up with them, and there were so many at the time, right? And especially if you're going to collect VHS. I mean, it's the format, right? Like, I don't know if you're like me, but I don't even mind, like, the tracking at the bottom. Like, that's part of the experience, right?
It makes it so glorious.
I
And
know.
having, like, a VHS horror movie night where you have to yell at the person closest to the, like, VCR and be like, hit the tracking! Like, memory.
Yeah. Okay, so the first part of his question was vampires or zombies? Do you have an opinion?
I do.
Okay.
And it's funny because my horror movie opinion is different than my video game opinion.
Okay.
But my horror movie opinion is vampires. Because I do feel like you can do more with them. And I'm not talking like Twilight and stuff, you know?
Sure.
Like,
but Lost Boys.
Yeah, like Lost Boys and even like Life Force, you know? Like vampires, I think you can do so much more with. You can go like the sexy route. You can go the demonic possession route. Like there's so many different places you can take it, I think.
Well, the actors can actually act. They can have dialogue. You know, they can have a progression. They're just not, just rotting flesh, right?
Yeah.
That's true. Especially, again, I would assume for an actor, it's probably way more interesting to play a vampire.
Probably.
You know? Yeah. The thing is, though, is that lately there has just been a ton of great zombie stuff out there. Like, I mean, the obvious one is The Walking Dead and, the 28 Days Later series. And I think those are really fun because that's a fear of, in my opinion, of like science and medical technology and viruses. And I think that very much plays into certainly, my fears and some of the fears that are out there, like, medical technology gone wild, and oh my god, it's like, turns you into raving zombie animals or something. I know.
That's not a good future.
Okay, but he also asked what our favorite movies are, and this was really fun. So we had to wade through a bunch of stuff because we're all, I was like analyzing, like, well, do I do my top 3 or do I pick some kind of like lesser known stuff? So we decided on our favorite movie and then 2 other kind of like, what was it, the other ones, the other 2 that we were saying?
Ones that we were kind of like surprised that we enjoyed.
Yeah.
Surprised that we're good.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, you go first. What is your all-time favorite horror movie? I love this answer.
So, I think I'll start with that I'm a fan of like silly horror movies. Like they're not necessarily actually horrifyingly, nightmarily scary. But they're fun, and they're still horror movies because of the story and the gore and all of that. But of course, my choice would be a terrifying tale of sluts and bolts, which would be Frankenhooker. So,
which is Drunken Master Paul's movie as well. Like, he raved about this for years. I still haven't seen it. I know.
I've even seen this, like, on stage, almost Rocky Horror style.
Oh, really?
And it was kind of the best day of my life. So, I mean, the basic premise is this guy's girlfriend dies in a tragically hilarious death, and then he tries to rebuild her using parts from hookers. And then, he kind of creates this monster that has half, like, a little bit of his girlfriend's personality, but he also put in a lot of hooker. So, it's definitely worth a watch, and it's hilarious, and it's gruesome, and it's 80s fantastic.
Wow, okay. That was reminding me, did you ever see Reanimate Er?
Yes.
Oh, same thing. Like, I mean, that's definitely a gruesome late 80s, early 90s horror film, but again, it has funny moments, right?
Yeah.
It's so funny. Oh my god. All right, so for me, I'm gonna go a little bit more traditional, but that's because The Shining, when I first saw The Shining, it changed my life. No lie. And the story was funny is that every year we would drive up and hang out with my grandma at Thanksgiving, and one Thanksgiving, The Shining was on television. And it blew my mind. I had never seen a movie that was so disturbing, so interesting, so wild. Like, every moment of this movie, I just think is an absolute masterpiece. So, it's my pick for sure. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's interesting because so many people love this movie, including myself. And it's one of those movies that Steven, like, he kind of steps back a little bit from.
He does.
He doesn't think it as... is as great to the book as it could have been. But it's such a genius movie, and it's so great.
Absolutely. So at the time in the 80s, also, my mom introduced me to Stephen King books. And so I read all of his books, from Cujo to Night Shift and It and also The Shining. And he's absolutely right. There's some fundamental differences between this and the book. However, I don't care. This stands on its own. I mean, Stanley Kubrick created a masterpiece in this movie, and I love it so much. All right, so those were our favorites, but we also want to pick some movies that are not our favorites, but surprised us.
Yeah. So, okay. My next one, Basket Case, this is the DVD of 2 and 3. But Basket Case, the first one, it looks so dumb. It's kind of dumb, but it looks so dumb. And then you watch it and you're like, all right, that was super enjoyable. And I've remembered it throughout all these years. Basically, the whole premise of this series is this guy is carrying around this basket that has his brother in it. And it's he needs to eat people, and he lives in this crappy little apartment complex, and I don't know. I think I turned off everybody from this movie. But
no. Sounds brilliant.
This era of horror movies is just so fantastic. But there's also so many of them that you have to have some that stick out from the others that can be that silly horror gore genre, but still stick out as being a good movie.
And this reminds me a little bit of Toxic Avenger. When that came out, that was a low budget movie, but again, it was this superhero horror movie, disgusting, but funny. I mean, just everything you love.
And Basket Case actually travels in the similar vein as the Toxic Avenger, because the Toxic Avenger, they keep going with the series, and they just keep getting sillier and sillier. They go a little bit away from the horror and more into the silly, and Basket Case does the exact same thing. But, I still enjoyed, 2 and 3 also.
Huh, cool.
It's fun.
All right, for me, Drag Me to Hell. So, this is a Sam Raimi movie. And he made this, I believe, immediately after making the first 3 Spider-Man movies. And I think, for those that don't know, Sam Raimi really got to start with horror. He made The Evil Dead 1 and 2, Army of Darkness. I mean, and he created an entire genre of horror and funny, great characters, right? And then he went back to it. So Drag Me to Hell is a movie that is, a lot of people are divided on because it's hardcore. This is the reason why I love this movie is because he is unapologetic. People get fucked up in this. And
to put it bluntly,
it's brutal, but I love that. I felt like he's having fun again. Every idea he had in his mind, he just went for,
Yeah.
So I love this movie. It's not everyone's favorite, but I don't know. I love coming back to it. And
okay, so my next one is sort of a video series company overlapping. You'll get it. So, all right. So I'm a sucker for Full Moon Video. And if you've seen any of them, you know what I'm talking about. Especially because every single Full Moon Video, there's tons of them. At the end, there's a little commercial for other Full Moon Videos. And they're
really?
You can buy our t-shirts and check out our other things. And it's these awesome 80s. They're almost make it worth watching every movie.
Huh.
But they also make Puppet Master, which is probably the one that most people have heard of.
Yeah.
But what I love about them is that they all kind of go together. For example, Bad Channels is about these aliens that sort of take over a radio station. And it's ridiculous. And there's even a crazy musical number, which is entirely,
really?
It makes it all worth it.
God, okay.
But so there's a girl at the end of Bad Channels who ends up being miniature. Spoilers. But it's the only way I can describe it.
Sure.
So then Doll Man, he is very small. So he's 13 inches with an attitude. And so then...
These sound crazy.
Since he's little, then in Doll Man versus the Demonic Toys, him and other small girl from Bad Channels are a team. So it makes sense. But all the movies are overlapping. And there's also Demonic Toys, which is also great. So they all all 3 of these movies come together in Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. And it's just all this.
Really?
I don't even know if this is making sense anymore. I'm so excited.
You know what? We need to have a viewing night where we just sit down, way too much beer, and watch these. They sound awesome. Huh.
amazing. And they make all kinds of, I mean, of course, Puppet Master, which isn't tied into any of these, so they do all their own things as well. There's Subspecies, which is another really popular full moon video.
I think I've heard of that, yeah.
And they're all the, like, sort of hilarious, like, 80s. Some venture more to sci-fi, some venture more to horror, but they're all kind of that same vein.
Okay.
And they're amazing. And sorry about the spoilers.
All right. And then finally for me is a movie that, again, is a little bit controversial, and that is Silent Hill, which came out in, like, 2006. So you like this as well.
Mm-hmm. I think it's actually my favorite video game movie.
I know.
Like,
I was really blown away by this because yes, it has a lot of special effects and it has some kind of cheesier moments, but I felt like they really focused on horror. This is a scary movie. There are some messed up scenes in it, and I didn't know where it was going to go. Like, I was just like, where is this movie going? It's awesome, you know? There's a scene in there where, was it Pyramid Head, where he basically grabs this, I don't know if I should give a spoiler, but I mean, it's
so
one of the most epic horror scenes of all time. I was like, I remember somebody had an animated GIF of that on like Facebook, and I just watched it over and over again. I was like, what is this I'm seeing here? This is like so disturbing. But yeah, I'm surprisingly good. I mean,
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I watched it shortly after playing Silent Hill Homecoming, which is kind of another, like, some people like it, some people don't. I get it. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then watching this, it follows some of the same storyline.
Yeah.
And loving both of them, it just kind of amplified it for me.
Yeah, definitely. Really surprised me. So, all right. Well, we hope that answers your question. But of course, we barely covered horror films on this. There are so many. Like, I wanted to pick Alien. I wanted to pick The Thing. You know, John Carpenter.
So good.
So good. So many that we didn't pick. So we'd love to know down in the comments, what is your favorite horror film? Give us some that is your favorite, then also ones that you're surprised that you like. And then also, we need to know, vampires or zombies? It's a question. All right, so where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook at Kinzilla, Kinszilla, and on YouTube.
That's right. The YouTubes. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. Take care. This question was asked by one of my Patreon contributors who help support my YouTube channel and help shape the content of my videos. In addition to asking questions like this, they also get access to a private chat, an audio podcast, and early access to most of my Friday videos. You can also set the amount you want to contribute, and you can leave or change it at any time. If you'd like to help support my videos and become part of the Metal Militia, please go to patreon.com/MetalJesusRocks.